Okay, so I'm keen to share our approach and how we work with the public sector, ensuring that the digital twin is beneficial for Place and the stakeholders. The image taken is from a digital model we built for Wirral. The water is the Mersey with Liverpool on the right and Wirral on the left. And I first started working for Wirral 7 years ago. And we've just completed modelling the entire borough, which is 130 square kilometres. This is how I structured the presentation. I'm keen to get your feedback at the end. Started working in 3D back in the late 80s, modelling buildings, sticking perspectives onto photographs and taking that to the planning officers to review. I then, in the 90s, was constructing more detailed 3D models and 4D buildings, using this to coordinate information, something we now know as BIM. And then I was thinking about the spaces between buildings for cities, and I started building a 3D model of Manchester after the terrorist bomb. And then in my time at Arup, I started to explore how these 3D urban models could be a canvas for integrating, communicating technical data in simple to understand ways. You know, again, something that we perhaps might give the use of the term digital twin for. And some of the examples of that work is looking at micro simulation data from traffic modeling, extracting the information, using that to position vehicles within the 3D environment, looking at the data that's produced by the hydrologists and using that to present different flood scenarios, overlaying that within the digital model. Or it could be simply color coding the geometry within the model. In this example, we're color coding air quality on the road network and energy consumption on the buildings. I set up DigitalUrban in 2017 and really wanted to explore more sort of people-focused approach. My first project was to create a digital model of Wirral and Liverpool, printing these for an interactive installation at Reba North, RBA, Royal Institute of British Architects. And this was a catalyst really for the work that I continued to do with Wirral Borough Council. I explored the use of immersive technology and gaming technology, and sometimes that was to help people see the past. And I was taken by how accessible and engaging this was for everybody. Testing out different approaches, like hiding the technology to focus the conversation. This one was about biodiversity. And simulating conversations through the use of multi-user, multi-sensory environments, so families could explore together. We received some, or local authorities received funding from DLUC, Department for Levelling Up Homes and Community. And this really provided the LAs, the local authorities, with the opportunity to test and explore different approaches to tackle some of the challenges of the planning system, where people typically only get involved to complain. You know, we wanted these projects to also have a legacy and to really use them as the start of the LA's journey towards having their own digital twin. We needed to ensure that the models could be owned by the local authority, providing them with the best possible asset for their budgets, which means using a number of different methodologies to establish the foundation of these digital twins. The objective is to create open, interoperable digital assets. These models are owned by the local authority, it's their asset. And what that really means is that you build the models up with different levels of detail. This is an example of how that works. There's also a data structure naming convention established as part of this as well. Our first DLUC project was for Surrey County Council, and these photos are from our first event looking at changes to Farnham High Street. The aim was to attract a younger demographic to the consultation. Typically, they only attract 6% of under 35s. We ran a series of pop-up events at different locations with a free VR experience, a jetpack with vibrations and sound, which we made from beer kegs. People could fly around the high street, going through hoops to provide feedback. And we also ran a gamepad version where visitors could toggle between options and jump through hoops to answer questions. We did a similar objective for work with Cornwall County Council. They had 3 projects to engage on, £56 million to upgrade a rail line, several active travel schemes, and also a new service hub building in Newquay. And this is some clips of the VR installations that we ran that had used a number of different tools to engage with people. For the work that we've been doing with Wirral, there was a focus on housing density to elevate and boost the interest of the regeneration potential of a promenade. And just in case you're wondering, the pedalo on the right-hand side there was actually used so that the youngsters could pedal up the Mersey and actually see the new waterfront from the water, which they had actually played a hand in designing. As I said, this work is ongoing. So, you undertake these projects, these engagement events, but it's all part of building up the digital twin for the local authority. And whilst this work is lovely to do, we also want to sweat these assets, extracting maximum value for the public sector who had committed their budgets to do this work. And essential to this is keeping the model up to date. So we looked at integrating them with the local planning authorities' processes, mapping out user stories, operating processes so we could define workflows of the digital twin updates, avoiding double keying of information, alignment with both internal and external users. This includes sharing the data with design teams who in exchange provide their 3D models back. So it's very much about encouraging a collaborative approach to the use of the digital twin. And to support them in that process, we developed a management platform. And this is really to store, share, and track the 3D data with APIs to integrate other information. And this could be other systems like GIS, or it can be PlanX. The platform is used to track and report on any projects that use the digital model data, building updates, infrastructure projects, as well as public engagement projects. So a couple of photos from the active travel scheme in Wirral. I particularly like the photograph in the middle of the teachers enjoying themselves on the rickshaw. And again, the rickshaw was used so it was a group activity for people. They didn't feel isolated in the VR environment. It's a reporting tool for the LA and the local planning authority, who can also provide links to share the data and collaborate with updates from external parties. Software is now being used by other local authorities, other clients, and as new features get developed, all the clients benefit from those new features. This is an example of the work, and there's an example from the work we've been doing with Watford planning officers, where they develop new features to track and use the digital twin for all of their pre-apps, which is now being adopted by other local authorities. And using gaming technology to put the human in the loop, I think, is an extreme use case for the digital twin. It's a term that's often used in the design world, and I'd like to apply this to our work in using immersive technology. A lot of effort is required to ensure that the digital models run efficiently in immersive environments. But the benefit of this is that you create super efficient data, making it really accessible and interoperable, and they become easy to integrate into different applications with minimal effort. And here's a few examples of where we've done that, where literally you can take that data and integrate it with other tools that you developed. And that doesn't necessarily just have to be the tools that we developed, it can also be external tools as well. So it's very much about trying to unlock the digital twin as a collaborative asset that everybody can use, and it not to be a sort of black box environment that lies with any one individual company. Thank you.
So our first question, Simon, the one highlighted purple at the top, is to yourself. It says, how do you anticipate that the demand for 3D/digital twin tools will change for local authorities as a result of the manifesto pledges by government to build 1.5 million homes in the next 5 years?
I'm not too sure is the immediate answer. I hope that they will recognise that they still need to engage with communities in making that happen. I do worry that they may not, that they may feel that they need to force it through. I believe there's 1 million homes that are already got planning permission in the UK that haven't yet been built. But I do hope they recognise, and I know that DLUC and the Digital for Planning department are very keen to ensure that there is still that engagement. I think what we need to do is to encourage the private sector to get on board and start making use of these models.
Simon, a couple of questions for yourself here. It seems like you've engaged a lot with many different communities. To what extent have you seen excitement in the moment generated by digital twins plus VR experiences actually translate to real world changes?
Yeah, and we do see that a lot. I mean, you get a huge excitement and buzz in the room when you create this sort of playful approach to it. And obviously, getting people to enjoy themselves is a great way to sort of unlock positive thinking. But there's been real world design changes from people actually having a greater understanding of the project. And that could be simple things like reorientating bus shelters because they've got greater knowledge of the local environment, or it could be changing junctions or changing the design. And a lot of the feedback is so rich that they do go away and start to actually make changes to the design, even though it's already been worked on from design teams. And the training that local councils need is very minimal. We use a lot of techniques and tools that they're already familiar with. So typically they don't need any training. You can just let them loose.